Have you ever met someone who seems to have a gravitational pull? You can't quite put your finger on it, but there's something about them that stays with you long after they've left the room. It's not their looks, it's not their words, it's not even what they do. It's how they make you feel. They make an impression so strong that it's almost impossible to forget them. Here's the question: what if you could be that person? What if you could unlock the power to linger in someone's mind, to make them crave your presence, and to leave them wanting more, even if they weren't interested in you to begin with? Sounds impossible, right? It's not. And the best part, you don't need to fake anything. You don't need to beg for attention. You don't need to change who you are. You only need to master the art of creating value through your absence, power through your silence, and intrigue through your actions. These are ancient principles practiced by Stoic philosophers, emperors, and leaders throughout history. And they're backed by modern psychology, tactics that work not because they manipulate, but because they align with how the human mind naturally works. Imagine this. You meet someone for the first time. You don't say much, you don't overshare. You're polite but indifferent, confident but calm. At first, they think nothing of it. You seem like just another person. But as time passes, something strange happens. They start wondering about you. They replay the brief conversations you had. They analyze your tone, your body language, even the things you didn't say. Suddenly, your silence becomes louder than everyone else's noise. Why? Because people are drawn to mystery. They're obsessed with what they can't fully understand or control. And when you master this art, 99% of women will miss you badly, even if they weren't interested at first. They'll feel the void you create when you're not there, and they'll chase the chance to fill it. Now, let me ask you this. Do you want to be the man who's forgotten the second he leaves, or do you want to be the man they can't stop thinking about? If you're ready to step into that power, here's your first step. Hit that like button and comment this phrase below: I am the storm. Why? Because that's what you're becoming, a force of nature, silent, powerful, and impossible to ignore. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because this is just the beginning. Today, we'll dive into how you can master this mindset, these techniques, and this way of life. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Stoic detachment, emotional control, and a touch of dark psychology can make you unforgettable. Ready? Let's get started. Number 1, the core idea. Now that I have your attention, let's dig deeper into the secret. Why does this work? Why do people crave what they can't have? And why do women find themselves longing for someone they initially overlooked? The answer lies in a powerful psychological principle called scarcity. Think about this. When something is easy to get, we don't value it. A text from someone who's always available? Dull. A person who's always chasing after us? Forgettable. But when something feels rare, when it's just out of reach, it suddenly becomes irresistible. This is human nature. We assign value to what's scarce, to what feels exclusive. And here's where Stoicism comes in. You become scarce by mastering detachment. The Stoic philosophers believed that true power comes from within. They taught that you should never let your happiness, your identity, or your self-worth depend on anyone or anything outside of your control. And this isn't just about your peace of mind, it's about how others perceive you. When you stop seeking approval, when you stop chasing, you become a rare commodity. Suddenly, people notice your absence more than they noticed your presence. Think about it. How many people in today's world truly live this way? Most are desperate for attention, constantly scrolling, liking, texting, chasing validation. But the man who is calm, composed, and indifferent to whether he gets attention, he stands out. He's not part of the crowd, he's above it. He becomes the mystery that others can't solve, the question they can't stop asking themselves. Women are especially attuned to this. They have a radar for neediness. If you're constantly chasing, texting, or trying to prove your worth, they'll sense it immediately. and they'll lose interest. But when you flip the script, when you become the one who doesn't seek, who doesn't need, who doesn't react, that's when their perspective changes. Suddenly, they're the ones doing the chasing. They're the ones wondering why you don't need them, why you're so calm, why you seem so different. And here's where dark psychology plays a role. When you project scarcity, you activate something called reward uncertainty. This principle explains why people get addicted to slot machines. The reward isn't guaranteed, and that unpredictability keeps them hooked. When you're selectively available, when you're present but not predictable, you create that same effect. They never know what to expect from you, and as a result, they'll think about you constantly. So ask yourself, are you going to be the man who hands out his time and attention to everyone who asks for it? Or are you going to be the man who knows his worth, who chooses when and where to invest his energy? If you're ready to choose the latter, let's take a moment. Hit that like button and comment below, "I control the frame." Because that's what you're doing. You're taking back control of how people see and respond to you. And trust me, once you master this, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. But we're just getting started. In the next section, we'll explore one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal, the ability to walk away. Stick with me. You won't want to miss this. Number 2, the power of walking away. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. The most powerful thing you can ever do in any relationship, romantic, social, or professional, is to walk away. Think about it. The moment you show someone that you're willing to walk away, you flip the balance of power. Why? Because people are terrified of loss. It's hardwired into our psychology. We don't value what we have nearly as much as we fear losing it. Walking away is not just an action, it's a declaration. It says, I value myself enough to leave anything that doesn't align with my worth. And when you can convey this, without anger, without drama, just quiet confidence, you become unforgettable. Most men fail here because they're afraid. They fear that walking away means losing her forever. But let me ask you, what's worse? Losing someone who doesn't value you, or losing yourself trying to prove your worth? Here's where Stoicism comes in. The Stoics taught us to let go of attachment to outcomes. They believed that true strength comes from focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, and releasing everything else. Walking away is the ultimate expression of this principle. It says, I can't control how you feel about me, but I can control whether I stay in a situation that doesn't serve me. But there's more to this. Walking away isn't just about leaving. It's about the message you send when you do. When you walk away, you create a void. And here's the thing about voids. They demand to be filled. The person you leave behind will start to question everything. Why did you leave? What did they miss? What could they have done differently? Your absence forces them to reflect, and in many cases, they'll realize they underestimated you. Here's where dark psychology adds another layer. When you walk away with confidence and silence, you introduce something called cognitive dissonance. This is when someone's actions and beliefs don't align. For example, if a woman wasn't interested in you, but now finds herself thinking about why you left, her mind will start working overtime to resolve that conflict. She'll convince herself there must be something special about you, and just like that, you're no longer forgettable. The key is this. Walking away must come from a place of strength, not weakness. You're not walking away to manipulate or to beg for attention. You're walking away because you genuinely know your worth, and that's where the magic happens. When you're willing to lose someone to maintain your self-respect, they'll often come running back. And even if they don't, you've still won. You've kept your dignity intact, and that's priceless. Let me ask you something. Are you afraid to walk away? Or are you ready to take control of your life? If you're ready, comment this below. I choose myself. Because that's the ultimate act of power. Choosing yourself over anything or anyone that doesn't see your value. And don't forget to hit that like button if this is resonating with you so far. In the next section, we're going to turn up the intensity and talk about a concept that will make you truly unforgettable: mystery. Stay tuned. Number 3. The mystery effect. Have you ever noticed how the less you know about someone, the more intriguing they become? Think about it. Mystery is magnetic. It pulls you in, making you want to know more, to dig deeper, to uncover what's hidden beneath the surface. The truth is, predictability is boring. When people can figure you out too easily, they lose interest. But when you keep them guessing, you become unforgettable. This is the power of mystery. It's not about playing games. It's about controlling what you reveal and what you withhold. The more someone knows about you, the less they'll wonder about you. But when you're selective with your words, your actions, and your presence, you create a sense of intrigue that captivates everyone around you. Women in particular are drawn to mystery because it taps into their natural curiosity. They want to understand you, but they can't fully figure you out, and that drives them crazy. Let's bring in Stoicism here. The Stoics believed in the power of silence. They taught that a wise man speaks only when necessary, and even then, he says only what matters. Imagine the impact you'd have if you spoke less, but with more intention. Instead of oversharing your thoughts, you kept your plans, your goals, and your emotions to yourself. Instead of explaining yourself, you let your actions speak for you. This kind of restraint isn't just powerful, it's intoxicating. Mystery also works because it creates a psychological phenomenon called the Zeigarnik effect. This is the tendency for people to remember incomplete tasks or unresolved information more vividly than what's finished. When you're unpredictable, when you leave conversations open-ended or disappear without explanation, you leave people wanting more. Their minds will circle back to you, trying to fill in the blanks, trying to figure you out. And just like that, you live rent-free in their thoughts. But here's the catch. Mystery only works if it's authentic. You can't fake being mysterious. It's not about creating some artificial persona. It's about genuinely being someone who doesn't feel the need to reveal everything. You're focused on your own growth, your own goals, and your own life, and that creates a natural air of intrigue. Women will sense this, and they'll be drawn to you without even knowing why. Let me give you an example. Think about the classic trope of the bad boy. Why are women so drawn to him? It's not because he's inherently better than other men. It's because he's unpredictable. He doesn't explain himself. He doesn't follow the rules. He keeps people on their toes. But you don't need to be a bad boy to use this principle. You just need to embody the Stoic mindset of calm, controlled, and deliberate action. So let me ask you this. Are you giving away too much? Are you letting people figure you out too easily? Or are you ready to harness the power of mystery and make people wonder about you long after you've left? If you're ready, drop this phrase in the comments. I am the unknown, because that's what you'll become, an enigma that captivates and compels everyone you meet. And don't forget to like this video if you're finding value so far. We're building something powerful here, step by step. In the next section, we're going to talk about one of the most underrated yet impactful skills, mastering your emotions. This is where the real transformation begins, so stay with me. Number 4, master emotional control. Let me ask you something. How many times have you let your emotions control you? How often have you said or done something in the heat of the moment only to regret it later? We've all been there. But here's the hard truth. A man who can't control his emotions is a man who can be controlled by anyone. If you want to be the kind of person others miss, admire, and respect, mastering your emotions is non-negotiable. Why is this so important? Emotions are powerful, but they're also fleeting. They come and go like waves, and if you're constantly at their mercy, you'll be tossed around, unable to maintain control of your life. But when you can master your emotions, you become unshakable. People will sense your composure, your calmness, your strength, and they'll be drawn to it, especially women. They're hardwired to seek stability and strength in a man, and emotional control is the ultimate display of both. Here's where Stoicism becomes your greatest ally. The Stoics taught that emotions themselves aren't the problem. It's our reaction to them that causes chaos. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or pretend they don't exist. It means you observe them, acknowledge them, and then choose your response. You're not a slave to your feelings. You're their master. Now let's talk about how this works in practice. Imagine a situation where a woman tests your patience. Maybe she's late to meet you, or she says something to provoke you. Most men would react immediately, either by getting angry or trying to win her approval. But not you. You stay calm. You don't react. You don't explain yourself or try to fix the situation. Instead, you let your silence do the talking. This isn't weakness, it's power. Your calmness shows that you're in control of yourself, and that's far more attractive than any outburst ever could be. This kind of emotional control also keeps you unpredictable, which we talked about earlier. When people can't easily read your emotions, they're forced to wonder what's going on inside your mind. This creates intrigue and keeps you in their thoughts. Think about it. When was the last time you obsessed over someone who was completely transparent and predictable? Probably never. Now, here's where dark psychology comes into play. When you control your emotions, you also control the energy in any interaction. People mirror the emotions of those around them. If you're calm, others will feel calm in your presence. If you're confident, they'll feel secure. But if you're erratic or overly emotional, they'll feel unstable. Emotional control is a subtle way of influencing how others feel around you without saying a word. So how do you master this skill? It starts with self-awareness. When you feel a strong emotion, pause. Don't react immediately. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Will this matter in a week, a month, or a year? Most of the time, the answer is no. By practicing this pause, you'll start to notice that you're in control, not your emotions. Now let's make this personal. Are you ready to become the man who controls the frame, the energy, and the direction of every interaction? If so, comment this below. I master myself. Because that's where true power lies, in mastering yourself before anything or anyone else. In the next section, we're going to shift gears and talk about something just as powerful, the silent message you send with your body language. Trust me, this is where the game changes. Let's keep building. Number 5, the silent message. Let me tell you a secret. People listen to what you say, but they believe what you do. Your body language, the way you carry yourself, the way you move, the way you stand, sends a message far louder than your words ever could. In fact, studies show that over 90% of communication is non-verbal. That means before you even open your mouth, people have already formed an opinion about you. So what kind of message are you sending? Here's the thing. Confidence isn't something you say. It's something you embody. When you walk into a room, your posture, your gaze, your movements, they all tell a story. Are you someone who's comfortable in his own skin? Or are you trying too hard to prove something? Women, in particular, are incredibly perceptive to this. They can spot insecurity from a mile away, and nothing kills attraction faster. But when you move with quiet confidence, when your body language radiates strength and composure, you become magnetic. So, how do you project this silent message? It starts with something simple. Your posture. Stand tall. Keep your shoulders back, your chest slightly forward, and your chin level. This isn't just about looking good, it's about feeling good. Studies show that your posture can directly influence your mood and confidence levels. When you stand like you're powerful, you feel powerful, and trust me, people will notice. Next is your eye contact. Most people either avoid eye contact altogether or overdo it, staring in a way that feels forced or aggressive. But the key is balance. When you look someone in the eyes, you're telling them, "I see you, I'm present." But when you break eye contact at the right moment, you're saying, "I don't need to keep proving myself to you." This balance creates a push and pull dynamic that keeps people intrigued. Let's not forget about how you move. Quick, fidgety movements scream nervousness, while slow, deliberate movements signal calm and control. When you walk, take your time. When you gesture, do it with purpose. These subtle cues show that you're in control of yourself and your environment, and that's a rare and powerful quality. Here's where Stoicism ties in. The Stoics believed in eudaimonia, a state of flourishing that comes from living in alignment with your principles. When you move through the world with integrity and self-control, it shows in your body language. You're not swayed by every little emotion or external event, and that steadiness makes you a rock in a sea of chaos. People, especially women, are drawn to that kind of stability. But body language isn't just about you. It's also about how you make others feel. When you're confident but not arrogant, calm but not cold, you create an energy that puts people at ease while still keeping them intrigued. This is where dark psychology comes into play. Your silent message becomes a tool to influence how others see you and feel around you. You're not saying, "Look at me." You're saying, "You'll want to know me." So take a moment to assess yourself. Are you sending the message you want to send? Or are there areas you need to work on? If you're ready to master this, comment this below. I speak without words. Because that's the goal, to let your presence do the talking. In the next section, we're going to dive into a principle that will change how you give and receive attention. It's called the principle of contrast, and it's a game changer. Stay tuned, because we're just getting started. Number 6. The principle of contrast. Here's a principle that will transform the way people see you. Contrast creates value. Think about it. Things are only special when they're different. Daylight is precious because we experience darkness. Quiet is calming because we endure noise. And in relationships, attention becomes valuable only when it's rare. Most men fail here because they give their time and energy too freely. They're always available, always responsive, always chasing. And in doing so, they make themselves predictable and worse, forgettable. But what if you flipped the script? What if you became the man who knows the power of contrast? When you're selectively attentive, when you give just enough to spark interest and then pull back to let that interest grow, you create an irresistible dynamic. It's not about playing games. It's about understanding how human psychology works. People value what they have to earn, and they take for granted what's handed to them freely. Let's break this down. Imagine you're texting someone. Most people think the best way to keep someone interested is to reply instantly every time. But what does that really say? It says, "I have nothing better to do than wait for your message." Now imagine a different approach. You reply when it suits you, not to play hard to get, but because you're genuinely busy building your own life. When you do respond, your words carry more weight because they're not constant, they're selective. That's contrast in action. Here's another example, compliments. Most men drown women in compliments, thinking it will win them over. But when compliments are constant, they lose their value. Instead, imagine giving a genuine compliment only when it's truly deserved. The rarity of your praise will make it memorable. She'll know it's real because you don't hand it out like candy. This principle applies to everything: your time, your words, your energy. When you give selectively, you create value. This ties directly into Stoicism. The Stoics believed in moderation and intentionality. They taught that we should avoid extremes and approach life with balance. When you give your attention sparingly and deliberately, you're practicing Stoic principles. You're showing that you control your time and energy, that they're not up for grabs to just anyone. And that kind of self-control is magnetic. But here's where the dark psychology twist comes in. When you pull back after giving attention, you create something psychologists call intermittent reinforcement. This is the same principle that makes gambling so addictive. The unpredictability of when and how someone will get your attention keeps them hooked. They'll start to seek your validation because it's no longer guaranteed, and that's when you become unforgettable. Let me make this clear. Contrast isn't about manipulation. It's about showing people that your time and attention are valuable and that you give them with intention. It's about creating a dynamic that keeps them engaged, intrigued, and invested. Most importantly, it's about maintaining your self-respect. You're not chasing anyone. You're inviting them into your world, but only on your terms. So ask yourself, are you giving too much? Are you making your attention too easy to get? Or are you ready to start using contrast to build value and leave a lasting impression? If you're ready, comment this below. I create value. Because that's what you're doing. You're making your time, energy, and presence a rare and valuable thing. In the next section, we'll dive into one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal, the art of absence. This is where longing and obsession are born. Stay with me. You don't want to miss this. Number 7. The art of absence. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed how much more you value something after it's gone? It's a strange but undeniable truth of human nature. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. When something or someone is constantly in your face, it's easy to take them for granted. But when they're gone, when their presence is no longer guaranteed, that's when you start to feel their importance. This is the art of absence, and it's one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal. The key to mastering absence lies in creating space. Most people are terrified of stepping back because they think it means losing the other person. But here's the truth. When you're always available, when you're always present, you rob people of the chance to miss you. Absence isn't about abandoning someone. It's about creating the opportunity for them to realize your value. This is where Stoicism becomes your foundation. The Stoics taught the importance of detachment, of not clinging to things or people. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." What does this mean? It means you must focus on living with purpose and intention, not on seeking validation or chasing after others. When you step back, you're not running away. You're showing that your life doesn't revolve around anyone else. Now let's talk about why absence works so well. When you remove yourself, you create a void. And the mind hates voids. It wants to fill them. This is where dark psychology comes in. By stepping back, you force the other person to focus on the gap you've left. They'll start to replay conversations, overanalyze your words, and wonder why you're not there. This isn't manipulation. It's human nature. You're giving them the space to feel your absence, and in doing so, you become unforgettable. But there's a catch. Absence is only powerful when you've made an impression to begin with. If you've been forgettable or unremarkable, stepping away won't matter. That's why everything we've talked about so far, mystery, emotional control, contrast, is crucial. When you've already sparked intrigue, absence becomes the accelerant that turns interest into obsession. Here's an example. Think about a time when someone you cared about suddenly became distant. Maybe they stopped texting as much, or they were less available. How did you feel? Chances are it made you think about them even more. You started wondering why they pulled back, what you did wrong, and how to get their attention again. That's the power of absence. It flips the dynamic and makes the other person come to you. But let me make this clear. Absence isn't about playing games or ghosting someone. It's about respecting your own time and energy. When you step back, you're not punishing anyone. You're prioritizing yourself. You're giving them the chance to realize what they'll miss if they don't step up. And if they don't, that's fine, because you've shown that you're strong enough to walk away. So, are you ready to master the art of absence? If you are, take a moment to comment this below. I create space, because that's what absence is. It's the space where longing and appreciation are born. And don't forget to hit that like button if this resonates with you. In the next section, we'll explore how to break routines and patterns to keep things unpredictable. It's called Breaking the Pattern, and it's a game changer. Stick with me. This is about to get even more powerful. Number 8. Breaking the pattern. Have you ever noticed how predictable routines can drain the excitement out of anything? Relationships, conversations, even your presence. When people know exactly what to expect from you, they start to tune you out. It's not personal, it's just human nature. The brain loves patterns because they're easy to process, but it craves disruption because that's where intrigue lives. This is where breaking the pattern becomes your ultimate tool for staying unforgettable. Breaking the pattern means doing the unexpected. It means disrupting routines, shifting dynamics, and keeping people on their toes. Most men are predictable. They text the same way, show up at the same time, act the same in every situation. And while that might feel safe, it's also forgettable. But when you break patterns, you create moments that stick in people's minds. Why? Because the brain pays attention to novelty. It remembers what's different. Let's bring in Stoicism here. The Stoics valued adaptability. They taught that life is unpredictable and that true strength lies in your ability to respond flexibly to whatever comes your way. When you embody this mindset, you become dynamic and multifaceted. People can't pin you down, and that makes you endlessly intriguing. Here's how you can break the pattern. Start with your communication. If you're someone who always responds immediately, take a step back. Wait a little longer than usual. Or, if you've been distant, surprise them with a thoughtful message out of the blue. The key is to shift the rhythm. Don't let them predict your next move. Another way to disrupt the pattern is to change how you spend your time. If you've been spending too much energy on someone, pull back and focus on yourself. Take up a new hobby, spend time with friends, or dive into a personal goal. When they see you living a vibrant, unpredictable life, they'll feel drawn to the excitement and wonder what they're missing out on. Here's an example. Imagine you always suggest meeting at the same place or doing the same activity. What if instead you suggested something completely unexpected, a spontaneous road trip, a late-night walk, or a quirky new spot in town? These changes disrupt the monotony and create memorable experiences that set you apart. But breaking the pattern isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are. Most people are one-dimensional. They stick to what's comfortable and they never evolve. But when you're constantly growing, learning, and reinventing yourself, you become a moving target. People can't put you in a box, and that makes them want to chase you even more. This is where dark psychology comes into play. By breaking patterns, you create something called emotional variability. This is when you shift between different emotional states, calm, playful, serious, mysterious, and it keeps people hooked. They never know which side of you they'll get, and that unpredictability keeps you in their thoughts. Let me be clear, breaking the pattern isn't about being erratic or inconsistent. It's about being deliberate. You're not creating chaos, you're creating intrigue. And when you do it right, people will find themselves drawn to you without even knowing why. So, let me ask you, are you living a predictable life, or are you ready to become the man who's constantly evolving, surprising, and captivating? If you're ready, drop this phrase in the comments, "I disrupt the norm." Because that's what you're doing. You're breaking free from the ordinary and stepping into something extraordinary. In the next and final section, we're going to tie everything together and talk about how to embody these principles in a way that transforms your entire life. Stick with me. This is where it all comes full circle. Number 9. The grand conclusion. Here we are, the final piece of the puzzle. By now, you've discovered powerful strategies to leave an unforgettable impression. Mastering emotional control, harnessing the power of mystery, creating value through contrast, and even leveraging absence and unpredictability to spark longing and intrigue. But here's the thing, none of this matters if you don't embody these principles as a way of life. This isn't about learning tricks to temporarily impress someone. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally attracts respect, admiration, and yes, desire. A man who knows his worth, lives with purpose, and commands attention without ever demanding it. When you embody these principles, you stop chasing and start drawing people toward you effortlessly. Let's take a step back and reflect. Everything we've discussed is grounded in two core ideas: self-mastery and self-respect. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control others, we can only control ourselves. This means your focus should always be on becoming the best version of yourself, not on trying to manipulate or force others to notice you. Ironically, the less you chase, the more you attract. But here's where it gets interesting. The principles we've explored aren't just about relationships. They're about power. They're about how you show up in the world. Think about the greatest leaders, thinkers, and influencers throughout history. What made them unforgettable? It wasn't just their words or actions, it was their presence, their ability to remain calm under pressure, their knack for being unpredictable yet grounded, their power to create value through contrast and absence. And now you have the tools to do the same. Let's tie it all together. When you master your emotions, you become unshakable. When you embrace mystery, you become intriguing. When you practice contrast, you become valuable. When you use absence, you create longing. And when you break patterns, you keep people hooked. These principles combined make you the kind of man who is impossible to forget. Not because you're trying to be, but because you are. But remember, this is a journey, not a destination. Becoming unforgettable isn't about perfection, it's about growth. It's about showing up every day with the intention to be better, stronger, and more grounded than you were yesterday. It's about living a life so full and vibrant that others can't help but want to be part of it. So let me ask you one final time. Are you ready to step into your power? Are you ready to become the man who doesn't just exist, but leaves a legacy? If you are, comment this below. I am unstoppable. Because that's what you're becoming, a force that can't be ignored. Before you go, don't forget to like this video if you found value in it. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. This is Stoic Blessing, where we help you master your mind, your relationships, and your life. Thank you for watching, and remember, the man who controls himself controls the world. I'll see you in the next video.